Welcome, everyone. This is part 2 of my interview with Nellie Harden. If you missed part 1, be sure to check out last week's episode. Now let's dive right back into part 2. And if you are enjoying this podcast, don't forget to subscribe and write a review. Your feedback means the world to me. I would love to also hear your thoughts or ideas on future episodes. Feel free to click on the comments section right below my podcast episode, which sends me a direct message. Or you can reach me out on Instagram or send an email. You can find all my information in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in. What is the Take the Lead program, and what are the 5 pillars of self-worth?
Yeah, so Take the Lead is a program. It's a self-guided program that you can go through, all about loving and leading them to a place that they love and lead themselves. So it goes through that foundation that we talked about of worth, esteem, and confidence, all the tools that you need in order to build this foundation and how to logistically build it. I mean, how many times have we as adults, we've read books or we've listened to talks or whatever, and they talk about, oh, you need to build, or not even build, you need to have your self-worth. Oh, you need to get self-worth or whatever. I'm like, well, that's all great, but how do I actually build this darn thing? Yeah. And I was like, I don't know how to actually get this if I don't have it. And so that's what is taught in there. And it's for parents and their young women in their home as well. So it's a beautiful program, again, self-guided, lifetime access, because we need to go through it several times, typically, if they're 11 versus 15 versus 18, 19.
So is this something that you recommend for the child and like the mother and daughter to do together, or kind of separate on their own, or?
So there are video lessons for parents and video lessons for daughters in there. And then you can collaborate on them and talk about them because there's some overlapping. Okay. But here, this is what I found is I have worked with just parents before, but then working with just parents that then take it back to the child's like, wah, 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 right?
Yeah.
Oh, here's that.
I don't hear you.
Right. Those pedestal speakers again. And I don't hear that. And on the other side, working with just the teens, if they take it back to their, preteens and teens, this is really for like 6 to 19 years old. When you take it back to your parents, the parents don't take the child seriously, right? And I've had, parents say awful things to kids or just not believe them or not want to work on it because they're not invested. So that is why it's for both.
So it works best if both are working on it.
Yes, right. Absolutely. There's a collaboration there. And then, so the 5 pillars of worth. So if you look at this foundation as like a 3-tiered cake, if you will, but much harder than a cake, right? But that's just the image that comes to mind. So that bottom layer there is worth. It's the most broad. You need worth to have esteem, to have confidence. That's why it's built from the bottom up with this formula. And so to have worth, though, there are 5 pillars that always have been, are, and will be. And you already named 2 of them. And that is to be seen and to be heard. And so that's what we need to do. We need to be seen, heard, loved, belong, and have a purpose. And when we can build that into our kids so that they learn to grow that from the inside out instead of chasing it out in the world and seeking it outside in, they are going to be more equipped for the world that they enter. And so easy things that you can do at home, just taking being seen, right? Today, we all have our phones in front of us or our computers or, distracted by one thing or another. But when your child enters the room, make eye contact with them, say their name. Their brain lights up in a beautiful way when their name is said. So say their name and inquire about them in a kind tone. So much of how we communicate at over 90% is not words, right? So less than 10% of what we say is actual words. The rest of it is tone, attitude, body language, etc. So make sure that you say it. Hey, how are you? Oh, how was school today? Or, oh, hey, did you get some rest? I know you were, you said you were tired earlier or what have you, but make sure you're using a good, kind tone, body language, attitude, etc. But when you see them when they walk into a room, then they don't feel invisible. I mean, when you look at the issues that are happening with our preteens, teens, adolescents, all the way at 20s, 30s, and even beyond that, really, The issues that people are having are I feel invisible. I feel like no one hears me. No one wants to hear what I have to say, right? No one loves me. I don't belong anywhere. And I have no purpose. Why in the world am I here? Right?
Right.
Those are what we keep hearing over and
Yeah.
over again, case after case after case after case. And so we really need to teach them and exhibit that for them, but also teach them how to have that self-worth again built from the inside out.
Right. I think the human connection, I mean, you can see that with adults. It's so important. I mean, I have literally been to like meetings where you see just adults, like, human connection to talk to
Yeah,
somebody, to be heard, to be seen. And then when you mentioned earlier the body language, I mean, active listening, how many times you see parents, like a child is trying to talk to said, or even if you're talking to like your husband or vice versa, he's talking to you and you're busy doing something and you're looking at your phone, you're answering an email instead of looking up. I mean, I'm really trying to make a bigger effort because I see the research and how important it is that when your kids or your friends or whoever it may be is talking to you, you need to kind of stop. We live in this world that's constantly going. It's like, oh, hold on a second. Let me respond to this text. Oh, I just got a
right.
notification on my watch. Let me respond to this. It's like we can't just put everything down and say, okay, I hear you. I see you. I'm looking right at you. And that active listening component is so important because I see the difference. Because now it's like I really make sure that kids step into my office and they want to talk to me. I stop what I'm doing. I turn around. I make sure I'm giving them 100% attention. And I think that's key.
Yeah. It's always been important
Yeah,
and it's more important now because
than
it's
ever.
rare.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
very true. Now, why do you think that parents have shifted toward making excuses for their kids in this generation? I feel like more is shielding them from consequences and not having the kids take responsibilities and just preventing them from learning that, okay, you did this, this was your fault, you need to suffer the consequences because they're never going to be able to overcome challenge and be resilient or have grit because it's like, oh, mom, dad will save the day. I did something
Right.
wrong. It's always like someone else's fault, right? You see that the parents that storm in the school and they demand to talk to the teacher about the grade or whatnot, or why did my kid not get accepted to this, school? You didn't write a good enough letter. There's always so much of that, which I don't think it was like this before. So what do you
Yeah.
think has happened that there's this huge shift?
I think there's a lot of projecting happening. There's a lot of living vicariously, if you will. But in this projecting, right? So you have a lot of parents that were hurt or are currently being
Mhm.
hurt because they're not being seen, heard, loved, belong, and having purpose, right? And then they see their child that is getting bullied or maybe not studying and I mean, I just heard the other day about a child that had a suspension because they hit somebody, and the parent got mad at the principal because they didn't put the suspension on a day that was convenient for the family.
Oh
You know,
gosh. See,
this type of thing.
that's exactly my point.
Yes, yes, exactly. And it's like, well, bad choices have consequences, and we need to learn that. And your child definitely needs to learn that as well. But I think a lot of it is projection, right? And we live in an entitled, chapter of world history right now, especially in the United States. We live in a very entitled time that if you feel a certain way, then you get what you want in
Right.
order to fulfill or grow that feeling. And that's not the real world, but yet we've made it the real
It's
world
like that
here.
instant gratification is with everything.
Yes.
It started off Amazon and DoorDash, and now it's just with every single thing.
Yes.
Oh, I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing that. I'm just not going to do it. Right.
Right, right. And I think one of the things that we need to do is broaden their horizons by learning about other cultures, learning about other times, right? I mean, we have wars that are happening in the world. We have devastations that are happening in the world. And those people, they can't DoorDash, they can't. I don't want to do that today. I don't want to move homes for the third time in as many days but I'm sorry, you have to, right? You need to do what you need to do. And there's experiences that you can give your kids in a positive way that can encourage that as well. I know for my oldest, we sent her on an expedition and she went for 2.5 weeks just with the backpack on her back. She was with a group of people, it was four adolescent young women. I think she was between sophomore and junior year of high school,
Right.
and a leader. And I didn't even know where she was going to be, which was uh, you know, trepidation to say the least. But
Right.
anyway, but she went out and she had to figure things out on her own, and nothing was convenient, but she made it through and she knew how strong she was after that experience. And I think we need to give our kids some of these experiences. I mean, it could be just as much as you go out in the car and you go out to eat and you're like, okay, you're getting us home now. So
Right.
you let me know which way to turn, right? And get lost if they, take you in the wrong direction. It's okay, but they need to start to own their own behaviors and actions and then realize how strong they are instead of just relinquishing to weakness, which is what we're allowing to
Yeah.
happen.
They don't know how strong they are, and they're so
Yeah.
fearful to find out. That's
Yeah.
exactly to your point. That's exactly correct. I know we also live in a world of anxiety, right? How can we support our kids through that moment of anxiety and teach them how to calm themselves down, but also give them the tools where they can do that on their own, like when they're away in college or whatnot? How do they calm themselves down by themselves without doing things, that they shouldn't be doing to calm
Sure. Right. Well, first of all, anxiety is a buzzword today. And to the point of our last question that we covered, too, we need to learn that anxiety is okay to a certain point. Like anxiety is a tool that our body uses, like an alarm system of something's not right. We need to change and go a different direction. Unfortunately, it has become heightened and heightened and heightened and heightened today. And some of that is just this repeating, self-feeding cycle of, oh, I'm feeling anxious. I shouldn't feel anxious, but now I'm feeling more anxious. And then it just keeps feeding in on itself.
down.
So we need to normalize normal anxiety, right? That needs to be normalized again. And anxiety is an okay thing. It's clinical anxieties and things when it gets really out of hand where there's nothing to be anxious about, but we're anxious that we need to address. And I think some of the best things that we can do for them are ask them what helps you feel better, right? So for some of my kids, I have four kids. I call them four corners of a square because they're also different, right?
That's so cute.
And so there's breathing, right? Breathing is such a foundational, always accessible
Yeah.
thing that you can do. So some deep breaths, some box breathing, it's visualizing, it's taking in, it's getting more oxygen to the brain, it's filling that chest and getting those muscles moving and regulating the heart. So breathing is a great tool that you can use. And it, like I said, always accessible. If someone is more of a kinesthetic, learner and teacher, they might need to move. So go for a run, maybe do some tapping on the collarbone. That is something that I do quite often. If I'm sitting in a car and I can't move, I'll just sit here and go like this. And my husband will see me and be like, oh, what are you worried about? What are you anxious about? I'm like, oh, so that's something. And again, that regulates the heart rate, and you want to be able to do that. And another person might be more nature oriented, or I mean, everyone is actually nature oriented, but some people are a little bit more than others. But get outside, take your shoes off, and touch the ground. Get
Mm.
out there. And my oldest daughter was on that expedition. Actually, it was so beautiful. She taught me when she got back that there's this critical nature point, I think they called it. But you get outside and you sit down, and at first, everything is afraid of you and it just runs away and you don't see anything. But after you sit there for about 15, 17 minutes, you become a part of nature again, and things aren't afraid of you. You're not at a point of hostility that they're seeing anymore, and you get to be a part of it. And
Hmm.
so that's something that you can do too. But yes, anything to control your breathing, get your heart rate back into rhythm. Meditation is a great thing that you can do
Yeah.
and clear your mind. Yeah.
Those are great tools. Thank you so much. Now, how do you think we can engage in conversations with our teenage daughters in a way that fosters open dialogue? Because as we all know, both you and I have the experience that with some moments you don't even know when you might ask the slightest thing of "How are you?" and it just might wait, why are you asking me this? And it just becomes, into this argument and they're very guarded and defensive. So how do we make sure that we can keep the conversations smooth so that they don't automatically, get defensive and then we take it personal and it just becomes an argument for no reason?
Right, right. It can happen. Absolutely, it can happen. Oh, oh, you look really nice today. Did I not look nice
Yes,
yesterday?
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I was
You
like,
know.
no, you look beautiful. I just thought I'd comment. And so then you feel like you want to revert back to your turtle shell. To answer your question, I think the side by side conversations you have, the drive-bys, if you will, in the kitchen and on the way to school or whatever, just say, be kind. Again, your tone, your attitude, your body language, always be in a good state. And if you're not, and they happen to ask you what's wrong, be honest. Don't say nothing, right? Because you're just echoing the attitude
Right,
of an adolescent at that point,
right, right,
right?
right.
Be honest. And if you do have something going on, you could just say, you know what, I just have some stress going on at work right now, or I just have some stress with this. I don't know, fill in the blank. The house is a mess and I'm running out of time. Be honest with them. Have a good attitude, tone, and body language. But when it is time, if they snap back at you, just kindly say, "Are you okay? Is everything okay? Is there anything I can do for you?" Right?
Okay.
To serve them. And then they know, "Oh, you're on my side. You want to help
So
me."
definitely change your response. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes. And so just offer to be of service to them as you can in that moment. And then they know, oh, yeah, mom's on my side,
Yeah.
right? Dad's on my side. Yeah.
Okay. That's a good technique. Regarding arguments, so there is times like how can we ensure as parents that we don't let our feelings drive the disciplining? Because a lot of times
Yeah.
I feel like we go into this cycle where it's like, you came home past curfew, that's it, you're grounded, or that's it, I'm taking the phone away for a day or two or whatnot. And it seems like it's just this ugly cycle and they become immune to it. Oh, it's like, oh, I lost
Yes.
my phone for a day. So what? Whatever. So I feel, like as a parent, you feel disrespected, you don't feel like the kid's getting anything out of it. And then, so it's like, how do we stop that horrible cycle, that vicious cycle of, you're getting angry, you're taking it personal, but you have to discipline them. So if you don't
Right.
discipline them, then you feel like they're not learning the consequences. What should we do?
Absolutely. Number one, never approach discipline when you are emotional. Absolutely. They come home past curfew, you wait up for them. They come in and you say, okay, you're home. I'm glad to see you're home safe. We'll talk about this in the morning. And let me tell you, that will like scare them out of anything anyway. Be like, oh no, right? But you don't want to act when you're in an emotional state. Discipline is teaching. Discipline is not consequences. Those definitions have gotten
Yeah.
confused over the last 50 or so years, especially post World War II, right? Where discipline meant do what I say,
Right,
when I say,
exactly,
and how I
exactly.
say. But discipline is teaching. And we need to keep that in mind because we're supposed to be building them toward who they can become, not holding them back in, this consequence merry-go-round that they're in. So whatever consequence they have as a discipline needs to grow them toward the preferred outcome of what they would have had. So just going along with the same example of a curfew, right? I understand you were late last night. Can you tell me what happened? Right? They tell
Mhm.
you whatever it was, and it might be a good reason, and it probably is not a good reason.
It's just
Um,
a story.
right. And so, but listen intently and say, okay, thank you for telling me. Just so you know, the next 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever that is that you and your spouse agree on, right? Whatever that is, you need to be home 2 hours before normal curfew. So we make sure that you know how to make a positive habit out of when your curfew is, right? And then they're going to blow up and
Yes.
it's okay. It's okay. They can have an emotional response, but they need to see you not having an emotional response because you need to be showing them what it looks like to control your emotions. I have a 14-year-old right now who is so far away from controlling her emotions, it's not even funny. But we need to control our emotions when we are around her, no matter if she is or she is not. We had let's call it a dynamic, dog walk yesterday with my 14-year-old, and she's going down the road and she's very upset about this and that and the other. And I'm just talking to her and I'm very calm, but also being honest, you are hurting me right now. You are not being kind. And I don't feel like you are hearing me or seeing me right now. And because my kids know the 5 pillars of worth, we talk about them all the time. I want to help you fill those pillars of your worth, but it's also myself, right? We are a team and we need to help one another around us make sure that they feel seen, heard, loved, belong, and have purpose. And so, talking calmly, even when they're not, is a great way that you can move forward and make sure the consequence is always in line with the desired outcome of whatever the discipline is happening for.
I mean, I love how you even rephrase that. It wasn't like you're going to be grounded because, and you have to be home because you did something wrong. It's just like, I'm teaching you, you're making a point. Just the words make such a difference because,
Yeah.
they'll still get upset, but hopefully it'll register that this is the reason we're just trying to teach you time management to figure out, just like with anything else, if there's a certain time you have to be somewhere, you need to be at that place instead of making 1,000 excuses and,
Right.
dilly-dallying. So that's a great way that you put it. I really wish I'd met you years ago. I think I would have had a lot less gray hair. It would have been really helpful. How can we teach them to navigate friendships respectfully so that they honor themselves and others? Because, you see a lot of times where their friends are taking advantage of them. They don't know how to navigate that. Just these are things that they can take with them, more tools as they become adults. So how do we go about doing that?
Well, first of all, kindness is for everyone. So we need to express that. But there's a degree to I'm walking down the hall and I'm smiling and I'm being kind to everyone and those that you invite into your closer circle of a mutual friendship, right? And again, bringing those 5 pillars of worth comes in there, right? Do you feel like, I don't know, Fran. I used to have a friend named Fran in high school, right? Do you feel like Fran really sees you and hears you? Does she ask you questions about yourself or is she always talking about herself, right? Does she treat you with respect? Do you feel like when you're with her, you belong, with her, or does she feel like you're always having to try to be with her and you're not quite worthy enough to be in her presence, which happens quite often,
Hmm.
unfortunately. And so walking through those is really important and helping them understand. I used to do some work with Brene Brown and her work. And, those people that you actually invite into your closest realm are going to be just a few people. She has a 1 inch by 1 inch piece of paper that she said, all the people in my life that I can really rely on and that are my closest people fit on that 1 inch by one inch piece
Wow.
of paper. Now, the world is going to tell you differently because they're going to say, you don't have 300 Instagram followers, 3,000, 30,000, right? Who are you if you
All
don't
the
have
friends
that?
on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah. And so and Snap and if you don't have a Snap streak with any less than 50 people, then who are you, right? You're not even worthy. But that's not real world.
Hmm.
And helping them understand that, which is really hard, again, based on brain development, because they're very much in the here and now and a pack mentality with friendships, especially for young women. But having them look toward the future and understand this is a season, right? And you can help them out with that too by talking about your own high school and middle school and late elementary school experiences. Like Oh, yeah, there was this one guy that was so popular in high school, and gosh, that guy is like just been in and out of jail a couple of times now. He's never really done anything with his life. He really, really peaked in high school, and I feel really bad for him. I wish he would have had more ambition and didn't focus so much of his energy on, this is who
Popularity.
I
Yeah.
am. Exactly. So helping them see beyond the season that they're in is a really powerful tool that you can use there too.
That's a great tool, just the seasons. Now, I
Yeah.
know another topic that parents are, worrying about is how do we navigate the dating situation? I mean, I know how do
Mhm.
we approach that? How do we encourage them to think critically? Like, why are they in a relationship? What are their motivation to wanting to date? Are they dating because everyone else is doing it? Is that the cool thing to do? Is that what popular girls do? Or are they dating because they really like this boy and they have a good, relationship or quality friendship that they like to spend more time with? How do we make them see beyond all the fluff, I guess, of
Yeah.
dating that's out there? And I see it on TikTok. It's like I want to make the Christmas cookies together, and we want to carve
Yep.
pumpkins, and we make these cute little videos, and we're gonna have matching pajama pants or whatnot, just so that we can make this video because that's what everyone is doing, right? But
Yep.
what's
Yep.
the real point of this relationship? Like, where is it going? What do you want from it, right?
Well, we need to tear the veil down a little bit there too, because they are seeing Netflix specials over and over again, right? They're watching The Outer Banks, they're watching this, that, and the other, and everything is this fable that you're talking about. But then you hear about these stories about these fake couples that just did it for notoriety, right? Or it ended terribly because actually their entire relationship was just how can we make this next picture, look really good?
Yeah.
And it just wasn't real. So we need to tear the veil down some. I think before any of that, we need to make sure, and this is a word that we use in our house, quite often, is we need to make sure that you are in a state of maturity, that you are even dateable. Like, forget about finding someone to date. Are you even a dateable person right now? And that has to do with maturity, having sacrifice for somebody else, time management, right? Because when you bring somebody else into your life, then you need to spend time with that
Sure.
other person. And if you are on the struggle bus with, I can't do my sports and my extracurriculars and my homework and all of that right
How
now,
will you manage that, right?
absolutely. And also, what's the state of your heart? What is your, reason behind, trying to date? Is it just because you want, a date to the snowball dance? Or is it because you are moving toward marriage? And, for us in our home, if you are dating, it is because you have an interest going in that direction at some point. So, we do not encourage just dating to date, which is abnormal today. I mean, my kids yesterday were talking about a group that they know of, and all of the kids are like interdating, and there's like a group of like 20, 25 of them, and they've all pretty much like dated each other at this point. And I was like,
That's kind of
what's the
strange.
yeah, I was like,
I
what's
see
the
that. I hear
purpose
about
of
that
that?
too.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, that's not healthy. And talk about your own experiences with dating as well, and the hard parts and the great parts of it. But all they're seeing in all of their social feeds and all of their movies and all of this is the sweet, good or very dramatic, but it gets you attention, type of relationships. And it's not real. And like I was saying earlier, we live in a town where a lot of movies are filmed. And we'll go down and watch the filming sometimes. And there was one that was being filmed right at the end of our street here. I don't know, about a year ago. And it was a bunch of teenagers, a Mel Gibson movie. And anyway, it was a bunch of teenagers that were out there and they were sitting around a campfire. And I tell you, every 5-second shot was taken about 30 times. And it was like, raise your eyebrow a little bit more. Move your cheek a little bit more this way. Okay, now talk deeper. Now talk higher. And so it's been nice in that respect to be like, this movie is taken like 3,000 shots in order to get this one, 5-minute scene in order for them to get through. And you look at it and you're like, oh, it's so natural and he's so kind and they're so great and they're so
Romantic.
perfect. And I
Yeah.
was like, because you've seen it, it is all scripted and perfected and run over so many times. So,
So just opening up their eyes to the truth.
yeah,
The other thing I feel like, I don't know how, I mean, I think it's everywhere in the world, but especially like places like, I mean, I live in California and I know like New York, like the fast-paced cities is the whole concept of just being authentic, like to be able to embrace the culture and like, because it's right now the culture promotes a lot of comparison and there's a
yeah,
lot of toxicity and the kids see that on social media and they compare. I mean, I know like there's Christmas morning where kids make videos of the amazing gifts, the Prada purse and the Chanel earrings that they got, and they record this. I
yeah,
forget what these videos are called. My kids know them better, but they actually send it off, in their Snap or whatever to their close friends or to everybody. It's like, what is the point of this? And it's like, what
right.
about the kids that are just getting regular gifts and you're missing the whole point of the holiday season? How do you work on that? Because I keep having these conversations with my kids, but it's like, realistically, how can we shape them so that they don't fall in that trap of
Yeah.
falling into, well, she has that, I need this, and not being real, not living a real life.
Right. And I'll never forget that I don't know, a few months ago I was watching a commercial and it was this wildly like vibrant color dressed person and jumping around and doing all these obnoxious things, right? And at the very end, this young man looks in the camera and says, and if you're not like me, you're basic, right? And I was like, wow, like wow. And I was like, I guess I'm basic and I am really happy to be basic because that is a lot that you're trying to do. And if everyone in the world did that, we would live in utter chaos constantly, right? And to be fair, some places are getting that way. But my point being that they are told who they should be over and over and over again. And so they don't want to be basic, right? They don't want to be this person that isn't fill in the blank enough, vibrant enough, funny enough,
Mhm.
beautiful enough, right? And so they're trying to fill a role, which is why it's so important that we make sure they're built from the inside out with this worth, esteem, and confidence, right? And so if they're going to send that video, what is your point of sending this, right? Or if they're watching it, right? What is your point of watching that? Like be here and be present with the family. This is where we are right now and this is what's important. And I think one of the best solutions to a lot of what you're talking about too is getting them out there to serve others that are less fortunate than they are. And it opens up their eyes and their hearts and their souls in so many ways. So maybe I mean, we live in North Carolina right now. Western North Carolina was devastated, still is. It has months, years of recovery to go ahead of it. And so many people we're in droves going over there to try and help out. We're sending things, we're going personally, right? All of these things, getting out there to serve, homeless shelters,
Yeah.
women's shelters, right? And making sure they see things outside of the perspective of someone waking up or from someone telling them this is who you need to be. You can take them and go serve alongside them. It's such a beautiful family experience, but serve alongside them and say, this is who you are, right? You are being a servant right now. You are helping people right now. And that is who you are. And the only other thing I want to say on that too is today identity is another buzzword that is used all the time. And people will tell you over and over again, or you'll hear, memes or whatever about going to find yourself. Oh, they took a year off school to go find themselves, or I don't know, they're trying to find
Yeah.
themselves right now. You don't find yourself, you build yourself. You do not find yourself. And so, anyway, if you want to go and backpack around and you want to discover the world, awesome, that's great. But you're not going to find yourself out there because you
Right.
are yourself. And so we really need to help our kids understand, okay, you're here right now. Where do you want to be, right? What do you want to build? And then let's make the steps in order to get there and build your identity. You're not going to go find it. So,
I think that's great because you mentioned earlier too, it's like the foundation, we're giving it to them. They're building their character, they're getting their values. And it's like you can travel the world, you can do all of that just for fun. But sometimes I feel like that's used as an excuse of kind of procrastinating, not, just to go out there and just do nothing, delay kind of adulting in a
yeah,
way. I mean,
100%.
I could talk to you for hours. I'm going to be respectful of your time. I'm going to ask you one more question because I know the kids are coming home and everything. So before we conclude this, insightful conversation, can you share some tools to help instill the values, skills, and experiences we want our children to carry with them as they transition into adulthood and leave the safety of their family home? I know we've touched on a whole bunch of things. And I know, everyone needs to go on your website. There's incredible resources, but if you can just give us a few takeaways of what we want to do to just send our kids off, to give them whatever they need so that they can have that right start.
Well, I want to share with you maybe just two sayings that we say in our house all the time that are great tools. And the first one is drop the rope and pull up a chair. And that is said to every parent out there, meaning it takes two people to be or more to be in a power struggle, right? And if you are in this power struggle dynamic with your child and going back and forth, you need to drop the rope and pull up a chair and just listen, right? It happens so often. Use silence as a tool in that as well sometimes, right? I don't have anything to say. Okay, that's fine. We'll just sit here for a while. Go on a walk and be silent. We were sitting on a beach with one of my daughters last week and just silent. And she was like, I don't have anything to say. I hear what you're saying, but I don't have anything to say. Okay, that's fine. We'll just sit here for a while. Lo and behold, like 4 minutes of silence later, she's like, oh, well, this has actually been really bothering me. And I'm like, okay. And then we get to go through that. But I was not about to sit there in a power struggle and just be like, tell me, I don't have anything to say. Well, tell me anyway. I know you're doing, and
Right.
we can get wrapped up into that so easily. So drop the rope, pull up a chair, use silence if need to, but just listen with those active listening skills like you were talking about earlier. And then one of the things, so we build this foundation, right, of worth, esteem, and confidence. The precipice, the summit, Mount Everest summit of this is to be a self-disciplined leader of your own life. And in order to get there, they need to learn how to discipline themselves. So we always say in our home, discipline yourself so others don't have to, right? If they're being told, you remember you got to do your chore, remember you need to, do your homework. Did you have any of this? And they're getting up and they're like, you're always nagging me or you're always
Yes.
saying this, right? We get this. And I'm like, well, discipline yourself so I don't have to, right? You have responsibilities. Responsibilities before recreation is another saying we always say. But
I'm
you
gonna
have
write all this down.
you have responsibilities and you need to do them. So discipline yourself in it so I don't have to, right? And make it bigger than just you. The other day, one of my daughters was having an issue with some work that she needed to do, and her work was just everywhere. It was like it was just a disorganized mess. And instead of, which I've been telling her, you need to clean this up. You shouldn't have loose leaf things in here. I just asked her, I was like, why do you think this needs to be cleaned up? And she's like, because if I drop it, it'll go everywhere. I was like, yeah, that is a good reason. And then you won't know where things are. And if you have a test, you don't know where to go back to, etc. I said, but listen, because she wants to go into entrepreneurship. I said, have you ever seen a strong businesswoman go into a meeting with a disorganized, disarrayed business plan? Have you ever seen that? She's like, no. I was like, okay. And I'm trying to help you build into the woman that you want to become. And in order to do that, you have to learn organizational skills. And it starts here, right? And so make it bigger than just you and show them how you're building them for the future. Because they see short-sighted right now. They won't always see that.
So true. Because I love that when you change, I mean, the rope saying, that's incredible because I visualize it and it's so true. It does take two people to keep that argument going and going. And right now I'm thinking, okay, like I'll go to my daughter's room or my son's room and it's like, clean up this mess. If they don't see it, it doesn't bother them. It's like the laundry can be sitting there for months.
Yeah.
But it's like explaining in that perspective, like, listen, you want to be an attorney, you want to be whoever. Like, imagine you go to a doctor's office and it's like, it's a disaster. You're going to feel confident to have that doctor work on you. So when you change it in that way, it's not so much like, oh, mom, who cares? Like, why do you care? Just don't enter my room. I'm fine with it. Why should you not be fine with it? So showing that to them that this is for their future is a very good technique. I have to say today, Nellie, we have discussed so much. We've discussed the importance of equipping our children with the tools they need before they leave childhood, ensuring they are ready to navigate the world, not just releasing them into it. We all know parenting can be so challenging, and many of us find ourselves in survival mode until our kids turn 18, mistakenly thinking that this is it, our job is done. But that's not the case. We must intentionally work together to instill the right skills and values before they venture out independently. Creating a partnership, like Nellie has been telling us, instead of, having this hierarchy with our children is critical to family success. We are a team. It allows us to communicate openly and understand each other. As parents, we may be the team leaders, but we are all on the same team, working collaboratively toward a common goal. Ultimately, the truth about raising daughters is that it requires a good sense of humor, a lot of time, immense love, and lots of patience. We need to have listening ears at all time. Don't worry if you don't always understand them. Try not to take it personally. In time, they come to appreciate the lessons you have shared. As Nellie says, our job, our privilege, our responsibility is to build, design, and plan the beginning of somebody else's life. Her life is shaped in the 6,570 days that she lives with you, that she shares with you. So how many days do you have left to help her before she leaves home? Nellie, is there anything else you would like to share with us today?
Goodness, we did cover so much
So
today.
much. I think
I
we
know.
did it.
I'm trying to have a summary, but no, I'm just so grateful to anyone, for you and for anyone listening, because you can take some of this and go and make a difference in your home tonight.
For sure, for sure. I think my listeners will. All the links will be in my show notes. Please check out her website. She has so many resources, so many tools that can guide you during this really incredible but challenging time with your kids. Thank you so much, Nellie, for being on Female Fluence today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in today to Female Fluence. Together, we can influence and motivate other mind-like females. Your job is to feel alive, be in control, and always be true to your own self. Please don't forget to subscribe so you can continue feeling inspired. All the links and notes from this episode will be posted on my website, femalefluence.com. Don't forget to also follow me at Female Fluence on both Instagram and Facebook. Lastly, if you are in need of a woman empowerment life coach to help you identify the barriers that keep you from living the life you seek, please send an email to info@femalefluence.org. Remember, my friends, don't just exist, but live your life to the fullest. I'm your host, Pearl Mashur. Until we talk next time.